Welcome to French edition, le metal. Okay, let's just cut it. I'm not gonna do any French here, because obviously I can't. Anyway, this band is called, I'm gonna do it in American way, Regarde Les Hommes Tomber, with the album called Ascension. So, once again, Regarde Les Hommes Tomber. Too hard. I'm out of words. Anyway, this is the third album by this French black metal band. And this was already released in earlier 2020, late February if I'm not mistaken. And this is something that I requested from Season of Mist because when I gave the initial listening on the digital promotion files, I kind of fell in love immediately. Why so? Well, first of all, it's good music. Secondly, I think it's worthwhile mentioning these kind of bands here on the channel as well, because I've enjoyed the two previous albums quite a lot as well. So I think this French name kind of deserves more attention. And now it's time for this third album, which is actually like 5 years later than their previous ones. Now, I remember vaguely liking the two previous ones in a ways that I actually like the debut album more than the second one. And in fact, this band has gone through some changes throughout the years. That is, the music has kind of I wouldn't know if the right word is to use evolved, but let's just call it changed, because this has had elements from, hardcore and post-black and various styles, so it might be a little bit hard for people to just kind of box it. And usually that's both a good sign and a bad sign in so many ways. First of all, if you're too widespread, too many of different styles, well, people are just gonna call you kind of a hipster stuff, or saying that you don't know which way to go, which path to travel. And that is kind of true. Sometimes having this kind of a hybrid style of music isn't exactly the easiest way to approach, at least, to new audience and stuff like that. Then again, there are also positive sides. At least you're not gonna sound like every other 1,000 other bands, which is just like, okay, let's do traditional black metal with blast beats and all that stuff. So in that regards, I think Regarde Les Hommes Tomber is quite interesting band, because it's a kind of a mix of different styles, but not too much. So here you have with the Metal Archive site, which also mentions this band being kind of a sludge post-metal, post-black metal. Now, to be honest, I don't find any sludge elements with this third album. Maybe they are more related to previous albums. Nobody just cares to edit here. I don't know. This is obviously also matters of taste. As you can know, styles or genres are often very subjective experience. Some would say this is modern black metal. Some would say no, it's post-black. Some other guy would say it's not black metal at all. It has nothing to do with that stuff. And then you get this kind of a debate, which is not the. This is not the right place for that. I'm just merely trying to say that this is a little bit off from your typical black metal, but still, I would say this new album is actually reflecting modern black metal. Third wave or otherwise, black metal still. So here you have also this discography with the 3 albums mentioned. And like I said, these 2 are rather good ones. But as the case is, Ascension might be the best album so far. And that is not something that I can too easily put my finger on. Because, once again, like I said, the style has a little bit changed. Maybe we can use the word evolved, and it's a little bit different. However, if you take these review numbers here, well, it's a matter of opinion for sure. I would say this is definitely better than 72%, but that's just me saying. Now, the music here is very much modern in the same way that, say, bands like Moi. It's more about the atmosphere than single riffs. It's more about creating this kind of a feeling that drives this momentum rather than making catchy chorus parts. Catchy chorus parts, some might say they don't even belong to black metal. I disagree. Listen to early Bathory, listen to early Venom, Celtic Frost, things like that. And you will know and understand why black metal can be so much riff-driven and riff-oriented music, being kind of just a step or two away from your classic rock and roll music. But when we go more further into the evolution of black metal, then we have more of these kind of a post-black metal and post-metal elements. Take a look at the Icelandic scene and you pretty much know what I'm talking about here. Now, I'm not saying that Ascension is purely going to that direction, but there are some similarities. Because, once again, while there are these melodies, while there are some kind of a drum parts, which are something like, okay, I've heard it, I know what you mean, and stuff like that, it's also a little bit different. So I could say it has similarities with bands like Amwa, but then again, it's also different. But then again, this could be said, if Polish band MY is one style of this kind of a modern black metal, Icelandic surely is something else. And then this French version is also a little bit different. But they are not that much, apart from each other. I mean, if you just jump from first wave to second wave to this modern third wave, obviously there are way bigger gaps than between these individual bands. But like I said, it's all matter of subjective experience. So in case I say Ascension has some Ngwa elements in it, being a little bit different though, some people might say these have nothing to do with it. It's both are fine. So don't come telling me like, Jerry, you're wrong, it's nothing like that. I said it's only that in my opinion. Now this defensive speech made, it's time to take a look at the song list here. As you can see, it's roughly 45 minutes and then some, with a couple of instrumental, and a lot of these songs are quite lengthy. Now, usually I'm the guy who bitches about lengthy songs, because they usually lack the structure that makes it worthwhile. I'm gonna use a wood plank comparison here. You have a relatively short piece of wood. It's firm, it's solid, you can step on it, you can even put an elephant on it, and it's gonna be still solid and in one piece. But when you take that wooden plank, I don't know, 2 meters, 10 meters, and it starts to kind of go down when you put weight on it. Eventually it will crack. Like there's a saying, you put too much load on horse's back or camel's back or whatever animal which is carrying the stuff. It's gonna break. Too much weight will gonna break any kind of spine. And that is what happens so often with these lengthier tracks. Because once you go too much like wandering around, instead of having these, say, 3 to 5 minute rock and roll standard kind of rhythms and parts and riffs and structure, it's easy to kind of keep it intact. You have maybe riff 1, riff 2, maybe kind of a bridge part, and then you have chorus part, and then you kind of rinse and repeat, do with those vocals and lyrics and all that stuff. And it's very simple in our order to our brains to pick up that. Now, if you have lengthier track like doom metal so often has, you have this kind of this atmospheric stuff. You don't have maybe catcher riffs. You're more about this kind of a flow state, if you will. And it's very different. Some people just love it and worship that style. Whereas some people are more about, hey, it's all about good riffs, man. If you can make it roll, like rock and roll, classic stuff, Venom did it, Battery did it, then it's not gonna work. So obviously these are, once again, matters of taste. And like I said, I usually bitch about lengthier tracks because they are not that manageable. They are not that easy to get in the same wavelength I'm on. However, with this album, I didn't mind. I didn't even notice that some tracks are like 8 or 9 minutes. And that tells me a lot about the quality of the album. That is, it doesn't matter if you don't have these killer riffs, if you have the right atmosphere. Then it's actually tuning on the same wavelength where I operate. So this could be very much an album I could go jogging to. I could go driving my car to. I could, I don't know, take a walk in the forest or whatever. It's not maybe an album I would go to the gym and like, okay, let's do some deadlifts, best attempts, because this is more about this kind of moodiness, even with those faster tempos and whatnot. Now, also, the production on the album is pretty solid. It's not really high-end killer stuff, but it's more definitely on the hi-fi side. We're talking about black metal, obviously, so the context is something that it's more about extreme metal. So, no, this is not the new Nightwish or Rammstein album, but this is more about black metal that is produced in such a way that it's strong sounding, good vocals, and everything is there mixed and mastered just nicely. Now the overall feeling with me is with that Ascension is very strong album. It's very enjoyable, but it's not the most memorable one. So for me, it's kind of sticks with the atmosphere, not so much about single songs. I'm not gonna pick it like, okay, this number 2 is my favorite or not. I didn't have that feeling when I was going through. I just kept listening to this album on repeat, more or less, quite a few times, and I'm still like convinced that this is a strong album with its strong atmosphere. That's everything I need. But if I were to say that this is gonna be a future classic with some of the best black metal albums out there with, you know, those memorable tracks and all, not likely to happen. Still, very much one of the best albums in my opinion during the first quarter or even the first half of 2020 among black metal ones. So in case you have missed it when it came out, do yourself a favor. You will find the band's Bandcamp link right here. I'm gonna put it in the description box, so it will be included there right as well. And obviously you can pretty much listen to this stuff on major stream services. At least that's what I would assume, being a season of misrelease. So without further explanations, go check it out, and I hope you enjoy it. Looking forward for your comments about it. Take care and be well.